Hi, I'm Olivia,
Hi, I'm Maggie.
and this is Girls Talk Film.
What's going on, Olivia?
Honestly, not too much. I feel like I watched a decent amount of movies this week.
Yeah, same.
Other than that, kind of nothing. It was relaxing, but like good relaxing.
You know, I just started watching The White Lotus.
Oh my
again,
God.
And I'm like forgetting how good it is.
Which season?
Season 2.
Season 2 of White Lotus is the best season, period.
Yeah. I watched season 1 and I liked it.
Yeah.
But it was just one of those things where I was like, when season 2 came out, I was like, oh, whatever.
Yeah.
And now season 3 is coming out. And so I was kind of like, oh, maybe I'll start with season 2 again because I hear good things about season 3. And so I started watching season 2 and it's so good.
I like didn't love season 1 and season 2 I was so into. Like
Yeah.
I don't even really know because I wasn't obsessed with season 1. Like I don't even really know why I decided to watch season 2. Probably I just had like nothing else to do. And oh my God, it's like peak television. I'm currently watching season 3. I don't think it's on the same level, like personally.
Really?
Yeah. No, I'm not
Interesting.
obsessed with how season 3 is going. But yeah, I'm excited to talk to you today regarding some of the movies we watched this week.
Yeah, so this week was Fairy Tales on film,
Yes.
which is I loved the movies we picked for this week.
We had 3 really good picks this
Yes, I'm like some of these movies are just so personal to me. So watching them back was like very nostalgic.
week. Yeah.
I had so much fun with this week's homework assignment, if you will.
Same. Also, watching these kind of made me realize that not that many fairy tale movies have been made lately. Like, I feel like
No, I think aside from like Disney's
Yeah.
kind of hold on the Disney Princess franchise and that kind of retelling of fairy
Yeah.
tales, I think you're right. I don't think there's a lot of adaptations, at least like classic adaptations
Exactly.
of fairy tales.
Yeah.
The whole point of what we are trying to do with this podcast is look at different versions under the same theme of a film.
Yeah.
So like we don't want to watch movies all made by the same director, or we don't want to watch movies all made by the same company because we know that they're going to have a pretty
Uniform.
uniformed, like there's not very different styles. So we try to look at movies that have very different approaches to this same common theme.
Yes. And we picked 3 pretty different movies.
I would say so.
Yeah.
I think they're similar in a lot of ways, but they have their own really unique charm to them.
Yes.
And-
100%.
Yeah, we'll get into it like as the movie goes on, but I think if you looked at these movies just on the surface level, you'd be like, they're basically all the same movie.
Really?
I think at least for 2 of them.
Okay, that's fair. I guess after having seen both of them in like really quick succession, I would be like, absolutely not. No, they're so different. But
Okay, interesting.
I don't know. Let's get into it.
Yeah, let's get into it. So our first movie is The Princess Bride.
Classic.
Princess Bride, directed by Rob Reiner, who I think I've learned very recently is maybe one of my favorite directors of all time.
Okay, I was gonna say that too. I was not aware kind of how elite his filmography
He's
is.
a legend.
I know, like this is I want to say his 4th feature film. I could be wrong, 3rd or 4th. But right before this, he did This Is Spinal Tap and Stand By Me, which are 2 of my favorite movies ever.
He directed Misery, which is
Yeah.
another great movie. He
Underrated,
directed
very good.
such a good movie. A Few Good Men, When Harry Met Sally. Like his filmography list is insane.
Yeah.
And I love all of those movies. And what's also really interesting is they're all really different movies.
Entirely different. Like I would never have guessed that Princess Bride, Stand By Me, When Harry Met Sally were directed by the same person.
No, not at all. So learning that he was the director of this movie
Yeah.
and that he has such an impressive list of movies he's directed, I was just like, okay, I'm already seated for this movie. Written by William Goldman, who also wrote the book.
Yeah, I love when they let authors write the screenplays of their book adaptations.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah. Okay, so earlier this week, I actually watched this with my mom. I had seen The Princess Bride before, of course, and love it. I mean, I feel like if you don't love this movie, there's kind of something wrong with you.
Yes, everyone I know who knows this movie is obsessed with
It's
it.
so good.
It's the best.
And my mom had never seen it, and she like kind of famously hates fantasy or sci-fi. Like she likes stories about real people. Like, she doesn't like anything weird or offbeat.
I kind of do too. I relate to that. I think I'm more open-minded than your mom, but like
she'll love to hear that.
Yes, sorry to Olivia's mom.
So we went out to dinner, and then I was like, oh, you know, I'm doing this podcast with Maggie, and I have to watch The Princess Bride tonight. And she was like, oh, okay, like, yeah, I'll watch it with you because, like, we're not doing anything else. But I could tell she was not enthused. And it's really funny how we're watching the movie, and as the grandson, who's sick, who is hearing the story from his grandpa, as he's being won over by the story, I could see my mom being won over by the story.
Really?
Yeah, it was so cute. And then, like, about 40 minutes in, we pause it, and she was like, this is actually really good. Yeah, as we just mentioned, the movie is kind of set up with this framing device of a grandpa reading the story of the Princess Bride to his grandson who's sick and who is not enthused about hearing this old story and hanging out with his grandpa, like, when he's not feeling very well.
Then we go immediately into the story of Wesley and Buttercup. So Buttercup is a girl who lives on a small farm. Wesley is the farm boy who works for her/her family. It's not really clear.
Yeah.
Wesley is played by Carrie Elves. How do you say his name?
I said Elwes.
We probably should have done research on that before we started. I'm just going to call him Wesley. He's an amazing actor.
Yes, he's very, very well cast in this movie.
And Buttercup is played by Robin Wright, which at the end of the movie, jumping, did you see it said introducing Robin Wright? This is like her breakout role. So Buttercup, again, is a local farm girl. Wesley works for her. She likes to refer to him as farm boy and kind of order him around. But the two very quickly start this love affair.
Yes.
They immediately fall for each other, and it's really hard not to just adore the chemistry they have.
Oh my God.
My first note is not even 2 minutes in, and I keep rewinding it. That's how good the chemistry is between them.
So Carrie Ells and Robin Wright apparently had like huge crushes on each other while filming this.
I read that too.
Yes, and honestly, that is so evident. Like,
oh my God.
Their longing looks are electric.
Yes. I mean, there's like that whole trend right now of like men who yearn. I mean, talk about men who yearn.
So true.
He is, I mean,
he's the OG. He's the OG yearner.
Every order that she gives him, he responds with "as you wish," which slowly
kind of morphs into this flirtatious thing in a very cute way.
Yes, it becomes less so an answer for her orders and more so a response of "I love you."
Yes.
And it is just beautiful. So they fall in love. Wesley, unfortunately, cannot afford to marry Buttercup. So he goes to sea to look for work, money, and his ship is attacked by this unknown pirate.
It's attacked by this like infamous pirate.
Yes.
Yeah, called the Dread Pirate Robert. So Buttercup hears of this, and Wesley has not been found. So he is presumed dead.
Yes. And it rightfully so breaks Buttercup's heart. I mean, they say that she goes into her room and doesn't come out for days and doesn't eat, and she swears to never love anyone again.
Yes. So cut to 5 years later. Buttercup has been forcibly betrothed to Prince Humperdinck. Incredible name.
It's so perfect for him too.
Right?
Like it's so goofy. It's so like kids' story.
It is, but it's just like I don't know, it's so fitting. I enjoy that they went with the fun name for the villainous character.
Yes.
Like
you'll notice if you haven't seen this movie that a lot of this movie just has so much fun with itself.
Yeah.
And this is like a perfect example.
Right? I feel like this is kind of classified a little bit as like a fantasy romance. The Princess Bride is to its core a comedy.
So Buttercup is forcibly betrothed to Prince Humperdinck. Although she is forced to marry him, she obviously does not love him.
No, she still loves Wesley, but she does believe that he's dead. So it's this kind of thing of, I guess this like prince wants to marry me. Sounds all right. I like fine.
Keep in mind, we are in like a medieval setting.
Yes.
Back then, whatever the royal family wanted. It's kind of like he could just pick her, and she kind of had to go along with it.
Yeah, that is kind of how they make it seem.
Yes, but unfortunately, before the wedding, she is kidnapped by what I would like to describe as the Three Stooges,
Yes.
basically. So there's three people in this crew. There is a Sicilian criminal named Vizzini. He's kind of like the ringleader.
Yes.
And he is a self-identified genius.
Yes, and played hilariously by Wallace Shawn, who I feel like his lines are some of the most iconic from the movie, and,
Totally.
and for good reason. Like, he is so funny.
No, he's amazing. And I feel like Wallace Shawn is one of those actors who like is in like he's in like
Yeah.
a super like you wouldn't know his name right off the head like you would someone like, you know, Angelina Jolie.
Exactly.
But he's like one of those actors who's just in everything.
He's like that guy.
Yes.
In everything.
Yes. So we have Vizzini and his two henchmen, Fezzik, a giant played by Andre the Giant, if you are a
Yes.
wrestling fan.
And this is, I believe this was his first and maybe only film role.
And then the final one is Inigo Montoya, who is a fencing master, and he is played by the amazing Mandy Patinkin.
So good.
Yes, he is amazing in this movie. So the three kidnap Buttercup, and they plan to start a war.
Yeah, they want to start a war between kingdoms. Like they're going to kidnap Buttercup and frame a neighboring kingdom as the kidnappers.
Yes, and they plan to murder her as well.
Yes, they do.
Yes, and at first it's revealed later, but at first I was like, wait, why do they want to start a war? But they are hired to.
Yeah.
By an unknown figure.
So we don't know who wants to start this war, but someone does. They hired the Three Stooges essentially to kick off the plot.
Yes, and I wrote in my notes, I was like, oh, imagine being Buttercup. Your sexy farm boy dies. Then you're forced to marry this prince who, like, you don't love at all. Then you're kidnapped because you're forced to marry this prince. Like, you don't even want to marry him, and now you're going to get murdered because of a forced marriage that you didn't even want.
No,
Like,
literally.
That sucks. Buttercup and the three criminals are now off, and a masked man in black is following them.
Yes, they're sailing away. They notice a ship behind them that is following them. There's a little scene there where Buttercup tries to escape by jumping into the ocean, which is infested with giant eels, which
Shrieking eels.
shrieking eels, which are genuinely terrifying.
Oh, they scared me so much when I was a little kid. First of all, I was like, okay, baddie jumping in the water and escaping. Like, we go back to the grandpa and his grandson in the bedroom. And something that I had to note is I really love when they have their little banter and then the grandpa starts reading the story again. We see the visuals from the story, but we can hear the grandpa's voice. And I was like, I just love that detail because it's like, it really is like when someone's reading you a story, it takes you a minute to like get back into the world that, you know, is created.
Yeah, and that little detail does kind of capture that feeling.
Yes.
which is
And
cool.
it's again, like it's the perfect, like a child being read a bedtime story.
Yeah. So yeah, the Three Stooges realize they're being pursued. They pull.
I love that we keep calling them the Three Stooges.
I feel like now that you said it, it's like I'm not going to name all of them again, and I feel like it is a good descriptor.
Yes, it's very that they give that energy.
Oh, very much so. So they pull over to the Cliffs of Insanity, hilariously named.
Great.
And start scaling them with Buttercup. The masked man also parks his little boat, starts pursuing them up the cliff.
They reach the top, and before the men in black can fully catch up to them, Vizzini cuts the rope. He and Fezzik and Buttercup continue on while Vizzini orders Inigo to stay behind and kill the men in black.
Yes, but Inigo is an honorable man and will not try to push him off of the cliff as he's trying to scale it. He shouts down, tells him, I'm going to wait until you get to the top, and then we're going to have a fair fight.
Which I also love that back and forth they do while he's climbing up, where he's like,
it's so delightful because their politeness to each other as they're like they know that they're about to face off. One of them's about to die. It's very funny.
It's hilarious.
Yeah.
So yes, and this is also where we learn about Inigo's backstory. His father was a swordsman who was murdered by a six-fingered man in a kind of like a deal gone wrong. Inigo was left with scars given to him by the six-fingered man, and he wants revenge for his father's death.
Yeah, and that's why he's trained for so long to become this master swordsman, is because one day he wants to face off against the six-fingered man and take revenge for his father's death.
And
he has a phrase that
is like one of the most iconic movie phrases ever.
Yeah, like definitely top 50 movie lines of all time.
Yep.
Where he imagines when he's going to kill the six-fingered man, he says, my name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die.
Yes. And of course, Mandy Patinkin is such an amazing actor. He says it like with so much passion. And this comes up later in the movie and we'll save it. But it is just, again, the performance is really what sells this.
Yeah.
So Inigo and the Man in Black have what I would like to think is an incredible sword fight.
Yes. And all practically done.
Yep.
They actually learned how to fence.
Yes.
And
very,
did the
very
scene.
like detailed, choreographed fighting. It's fun. The music, the dialogue. They're
hilarious.
Like, they're talking the entire time, making jokes.
They're like basically flirting with each other. Just like being like, wow, that was a really good move. That move was really good.
Yes. And to Inigo's surprise, the Man in Black bests him. And being also an honorable man, the Man in Black just knocks Inigo out before continuing to pursue after the others.
Yes. And I'd also like to think that it's because he was so impressed by Inigo's skill and that he had never faced someone so skilled, that like out of respect.
Well, he says to Inigo, he's like, I'd no sooner break a stained glass window than kill someone as skilled as you are.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's such a good line.
I know, right? The Man in Black ends up then facing Fezzik in a, what would you even call it? Like a fight? Like a test of strength?
Yeah. Well, so thinking of it in like video game terms, like him facing Inigo was like the dexterity level. Him facing Fezzik is like the strength level, which he kind of ingeniously climbs onto his back and chokes him out so that his size can't be used against him in the fight, because Fezzik is obviously Andre the Giant. He's massive.
Right.
And then he moves on to Vizzini, which is kind of a mental test.
The two of them have this game of wits where one cup of wine is poison, the other is not.
And yeah, Vizzini must choose which of the two cups is poisoned and obviously drink the non-poison one and hope to live.
Vizzini is trying to get one over on the Man in Black, and it's so funny because it's fully just not working. Like, he is so aware of what he's trying to do.
Yeah.
So Vizzini fails, he drinks the poison cup, and then it is revealed that both cups were actually poison and that the Man in Black has been building up a tolerance for the poison for many years. So again, he really did outbest him. Also, Buttercup is semi-witness to all of this. She's blindfolded and tied up in the corner. The two run off. We're still not really sure about what the Man in Black's I guess intentions are, who he is or whatever.
Yeah, like why he is pursuing them and wants to save Buttercup. Like, we still don't know.
We also learn that Prince Humperdinck is right on their tail, trying to find his bride-to-be with his entourage of people. And he's so, can I just say, he's so douchey when he's tracking them.
Oh, he's the worst.
He is like so pretentious. He is a hunter, like that's his thing. And it is just so funny. He's like moving in the footsteps and like retracing the steps in the sword fight, and then he's like looking at, you know, at the trees and stuff, and you're just like, God, this guy sucks.
Wasn't it, he literally like looks at the ground at one point and is like, there was a giant here, and like a giant was bested here.
That's exactly what he says. He's like, a giant was bested here. It's like, oh God, dude. So Buttercup and the Man in Black are on the move, and we kind of learn that there's a bit of a tension between the two. The Man in Black seems very unforgiving towards Buttercup and very, I don't know, he's just not very thoughtful towards her just being kidnapped.
Yeah, he's just like kind of being mean to her, telling her that she's like marrying this horrible guy. Like, what must that say about you if you're going to marry this guy that like I don't like?
Yes, and Buttercup says that his cruelty reveals that he must be the Dread Pirate Roberts, who is believed to have killed her love, Wesley.
They're bickering. She reveals to him that her great love died at his hands. He asks a couple questions about this guy.
Buttercup, in her fury, pushes him off the cliffside, and he starts rolling down the hill. And as he's rolling down, he
shouts, "As you wish."
Yes, she basically goes, "I hope you die." And he responds with, "As you wish," revealing the Man in Black to, of course, be Wesley.
Yes, and she hilariously, she realizes it's him as he's tumbling down, and she then hurls herself
throws
down
herself.
the cliff, like launches her body down this cliff and tumbles down alongside him, which is like, girl, you could have just walked.
I always wondered when I was little, I was like, does she trip and like,
yeah,
or does she genuinely just in like the throes of passion, like throw herself after him?
I want it to be that.
Yeah,
I want
do too.
that to be what it is.
They fall down this cliff, and who is doing that fall? I hope those stunt actors got paid, because once again,
fell
everything is
cliff.
practical in this movie, and these people are rolling like wheelbarrows. They are flying down this hill.
Oh, I could never be a stunt person.
No, me either. And then we get one of the best reunions ever. One of my favorite lines in this movie, or I guess one of my favorite exchanges in this movie, is when Buttercup's like, "I thought you were dead." And he goes, "Death cannot stop true love."
So funny.
So cheesy.
Cheesy, but it's also just kind of like, when you think about it for 1 second, it's like, huh?
Yeah. Yes. And also, I love this part is just so romantic where she goes, "I'll never doubt again." And he goes, "There'll never be a need."
Oh,
like,
so good.
Come on. It's so good. I love a male character who is motivated by love.
Right.
Wesley's whole motivation is his love for Buttercup.
Yeah.
It is purely nothing else. And he is also such a great male character.
Yeah.
Like, he's cool. Like, I think if I were a guy and I watched this movie, like, I would want to be like him. He's smart. He's strong. He's a great swordsman. And again, he's motivated by true love. Like, I think.
And like unashamedly motivated by true love.
Yes. For someone who, like, in our day and age, I think it's just such a nice thing to watch.
Yeah.
Especially looking at it in a modern perspective, where it's like looking at male characters who are more soft and kind of more vulnerable or more in touch with their emotions. Having a male main character who really, again, like, is proud to be so in love with the person he's with.
Yeah, and like that doesn't take away from what a badass he is.
No, it enhances it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is kind of a weird thing that I've noticed too, where I feel like a lot of movies made, and I'm going to generalize, for like the past 10 years, are steering away from romance as a main plot.
Yes, Olivia, you and I have talked about this all the time.
We have.
I totally agree with you. I don't know why romance is so dead in so many movies, and I don't know why people don't act like love is not a universal language that
literally
almost everyone feels in their life.
Exactly, because it's something that everyone on some level can relate to and understand. Like you said, it's completely universal. So it is curious kind of why Hollywood hasn't been interested in romance lately. And I feel like most of the romances that we do get have this kind of like unconventional angle.
Totally.
Like, where something that is just kind of sweet and pure like this, yeah, you just haven't really seen a lot of it.
We don't
lately.
see it. And again, I don't know why, because The Princess Bride is proof that it can work.
Exactly.
And it can work well.
So they realize that Humperdinck is coming after them, and they decide to cut through the fire swamp.
Another great name.
Great name. It is literally a swamp where jets of fire shoot out from the ground. Aptly named. Named Fire Swamp.
Very appropriately named.
We haven't gotten too many real conversations between Wesley and Buttercup up until this point. And like, if the like electric longing looks at the beginning wasn't like selling their chemistry, it really is the fire swamp sequence that does.
Yes. They give like a married couple, been together for 15 years, like knows each other like a book. So yes, the fire swamp not only includes these spouts of fire shooting up, they include the rodents of unusual size.
Yes, which that is their name canonically.
Yes. Am I crazy for saying that those giant, again, practical rats are better looking than the CGI animals in Wicked?
No, you are not wrong. You would be entirely correct,
yes.
honestly. They're like legitimately scary. And this scene of them in the fire swamp, there's like real terror in that scene. Like,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
it is
The sand pit?
also just again, like a PG movie wouldn't have kind of this level of scariness and violence today. You know me, you know I don't care about violence, but like, so I'm not gonna make the argument that there should be more violence in kids' movies, but I do think that there is a level of scariness that kids probably can handle.
I think The Princess Bride does it in a way that isn't traumatizing.
No,
for
it's
kids.
not. But there's suspense and excitement.
Yes, there's also stakes.
Yes.
Yeah, totally. So yes, we have the rodents of unusual size. We have these sand pits, which is basically like quicksand.
Quicksand, yes. Buttercup slips into one. Wesley has to jump in and save her. He like ties a rope to a tree and holds onto it and pulls her out.
This is also in the fire swamp. We learn just quickly kind of what Wesley was doing while he was away for 5 years. He was attacked by the Dread Pirate Roberts, but instead of killing him, he took him in and revealed that the Dread Pirate Roberts is more so kind of like a James Bond type of name.
Yeah, like it's passed down from pirate to pirate.
Yes.
Like someone will be the Dread Pirate Roberts for a little bit and then they'll give the name to someone else who will take over. I did love the idea of a pirate wanting to retire.
I do too. I kind of love that idea. When he said, first of all, the guy who Wesley inherits the Dread Pirate Roberts from is named like Brian.
Yes.
It's so funny. Yes, but now that he is reunited with Buttercup, he's going to pass the name on to someone else and that they can live happily together. They are ambushed by Prince Humperdinck and his men.
So yeah, Humperdinck agrees to Buttercup's request and rides off with her. I know what you're gonna say.
Wait, I have one quick thing. So when Buttercup says, goes, "Do you promise not to hurt him?" You know, and he goes, "May I live 1,000 years and never hunt again." Low stakes.
Yeah, like not quite a promise.
I get that he's a hunter and like it's a big deal, but it's not like he was like, "May I live 100 years and never, I don't know, lose my crown," or
like
something
on
like
my
that.
mother's name or
Yes.
something.
May
It's
I
just
never
like,
hunt again.
So you'll give up a hobby?
Yes.
Like Buttercup rides off with Humperdinck. Wesley turns around and is like, "You guys aren't gonna let me go, are you?" And all the guards are like, "Yeah, no, like you're about to die." Also, we see that Humperdinck, in his kind of entourage, he is accompanied by the six-fingered man that killed Inigo Montoya's father.
The six-fingered man is so scary. He was born to play a villain.
He is scary. He is played by Christopher Guest, who it is hilarious to see Christopher Guest in stuff like Spinal Tap or For Your Consideration, and then to see him in this where he's like,
who is he in Spinal Tap?
he's the guitarist in Spinal Tap.
You're kidding.
Did you not? No, I know.
I never, because looking at him in this movie, you would never know. You just blew my mind.
No, I know. It was crazy for me to find out after Spinal Tap that Christopher Guest isn't British.
That's insane.
I know.
That is insane, Olivia. I didn't know that it was Christopher Guest.
Yeah.
So Wesley is taken to the Pit of Despair. Once again, these names are iconic.
Yeah.
It is a torture chamber hidden in the woods.
They have this little weirdo who basically like is in charge of the torture chamber.
And I love when they introduce him. He has this like really throaty, scary voice. And then he just goes, anyways. And he has like a totally normal voice. It's so funny.
So, it's very good. And that was, there's so many like little comedic beats like that in this movie that just like I don't know.
It enhances it. Buttercup basically has this nightmare where she is announced to be queen and she does not. I love that nightmare so much.
Yeah, it's scary.
It's scary and I love the old woman. She's so funny.
Yeah, she's a dream that she, like at her coronation, this ugly old woman starts loudly booing her.
Yes, this like old hag. There's no other way to describe her. And she boos her. And every time I boo something or someone, I channel her. Bow down to the queen of slime, the queen of filth. It's so funny how badly she reads her. Like,
yeah.
And so Buttercup awakes from this nightmare. She sprints Humperdinck, and she basically is like, hey, I don't love you. I love Wesley. And if we get married, like, I promise I'll be dead by morning. So I don't want to marry you.
Yeah, and Humperdinck lies to her and says, like, really? Because Wesley just, like, sailed away on a ship. He has him trapped in the pit of despair, as we know. But was like, yeah, no, we let Wesley go, and he just sailed away. Like, he, like, doesn't care about you.
Yes, and she doesn't believe it, rightfully so. And so Humperdinck promises, okay, you write me 4 letters. I'll send my 4 fastest ships. And if he comes back to you before our wedding, you guys can leave, no problem. But if so, please, let's get married. It's also revealed right after this that Humperdinck is the one who hired Vizzini to kidnap Buttercup, and he is the one who wants to start the war, which I still do not understand why.
Me neither. That kind of part of the plot is not really explored at all.
Yes, especially because why would you want your own country to go to war if you're the king? Like, it just seems like you're creating more work for yourself. I think something that kind of helps this movie with moments like these is it's supposed to be a storybook, and sometimes with, you know, stories like this, the villains are just kind of evil and that's it.
Yeah. No, he is a pretty kind of classic villain of he's just like a bad guy, and we don't really ever learn too much about we don't ever really learn too much like about his motivation.
And then we also learn what the machine is in the pit of despair.
Yes. It terrifyingly is this torture device that like saps away a year of your life.
So we actually cut back to Inigo and Fezzik, who we have not seen for a while in this movie. Basically, a quick little like side plot. The prince orders that the thieves' forest be cleared out so that his wife is extra safe, even though he plans to murder her. The thieves' forest is being cleared out. Inigo is there, drunk out of his mind.
Yes.
Drunkenly yelling for Vizzini, who is dead. Mm-hmm. He and Fezzik reunite. Fezzik kind of nurses him out of this drunken state. And Fezzik also reveals that he knows where the 6-fingered man is. He's in the castle, and they need to find a way to storm in. And Inigo's idea is to get the man in black because he's the only one who has bested the both of them. He can help them break into the castle.
Yes, and it is this kind of funny thing of like they have no plan. They have no kind of clue where they should begin. But it's like, no, but that guy probably like will come up with something.
Buttercup realizes that Humperdinck has not sent his 4 fastest ships for Wesley.
Yes.
And calls him a coward, which he very much is.
He imprisons her. He also, like, basically goes down to the pit of despair and orders them to, like, turn up the machine super high.
Oh, he sets it all to the max setting.
Yeah. So very, like, kind of horribly, like, sucks out many years of Wesley's life.
Yes, and Wesley is basically tortured to near death.
Near death, yeah.
When Fezzik and Inigo find him, which is such a great scene too when they find the tree.
Yeah, it's like a real film convenience of like he literally leans against the tree, accidentally clicks the knob that opens the door to the pit of despair. Mandy Patinkin really plays Inigo with as much sincerity as he possibly can, and it is for the best.
I saw an interview where he said it's his favorite character he's ever played.
They take him to this like guy that they know that they're like, that guy does weird stuff in the forest, maybe he can bring him back to life.
Is he like supposed to be a troll, or like he just like an old man?
It's
like
Billy Crystal in old age makeup.
It is.
The makeup is a bit like a little crazy looking.
Yes, it
I
definitely.
kind of assumed that he was just like a weirdo old man. Like he's like an old mystic that lives in the forest that can like help people with stuff.
Okay, that makes sense. But yes, he has this like insane Albert Einstein like white hair,
Yeah,
and
it's great.
he's a very it's a hilarious scene.
They see Wesley and they're like, oh, actually, like, yeah, he's not breathing and stuff, but he's only mostly dead. He's not dead.
So they give Wesley this miracle pill, and it does resuscitate him, but he's unable to move his body for like what they say, like at least like 15 minutes or something.
Yeah, and he really commits to the bit.
It's so great.
For a good portion of the rest of the movie, he can't really move and is like flopping his head around as he's being carried by Andre the Giant, and it's very funny. Every time they do a gag about him not being able to move, it works. I laughed every single time.
Yes, it's so great. And then of course, this is also the night of the wedding. This also has probably one of the most iconic lines in all the movie, marriage. It's so like, I just know that set was so much fun to be on.
Oh my
How did
God.
anyone keep a straight face in that scene?
I could not imagine. This conversation about The Princess Bride is probably so boring because all we're doing is just going, and this was funny, and this was, but it just is so funny.
It is. It's such a great movie. Like, and I think everyone will agree. Like,
Yeah, I think I said to my mom when she was like not super enthused about watching it, I'm like, Mom, only like a sociopath wouldn't like The Princess Bride.
Yes.
Like, you will like it, I promise.
yes, there is a commotion outside with the three men trying to break in. And so Humperdinck very quickly rushes to the end of the wedding, and they are pronounced to be married, but they very quickly skip the I do's, which is the most important part.
Buttercup goes to kill herself. She positions a dagger above her chest, and she's interrupted by Wesley, who's unknowingly behind her. And I love their little flirtatious banter, like even in this moment where he can't move, he's like laid up in her bed and she's about to kill herself. It's a cute little reunion for them.
Yes, it is. It's very sweet.
So while that is happening, Inigo is pursuing the six-fingered man, who, of course, when Inigo tries to face him, runs away like a coward.
Yes, runs away, and when Inigo turns the corner, he throws a dagger. The six-fingered man kind of seems like he has a one-up on Inigo, and that he is going to win this fight. And Inigo originally is like, "Forgive me, father," and thinks that he's lost, and then he gets the adrenaline rush of a lifetime.
Yeah. He repeats his, "My name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die."
And every time he repeats it, it just, I mean, at the end of it, I feel like I'm
Chills.
watching a football game. I'm like, yeah, go.
No, literally. And I like the kind of, they heavily insinuate that like this is a scenario that Inigo has imagined and imagined and imagined.
Yes. And I love that he gives him the cuts on his cheeks that the
Yes.
six-fingered man gave him when he was a child. And then we cut back to Wesley and Buttercup in the honeymoon suite. Humperdinck finds them and goes to attack, but Wesley goes right back at him with this amazing monologue.
Yes.
He really calls out his cowardice.
Absolutely. Humperdinck is too much of a coward to see if he's actually telling the truth, and kind of takes him at his word and runs away.
Yes. And it's so great when Wesley stands up. And the audience, we know that he has no strength, but seeing him stand up, you can see like the color drain from his face. Like, oh shit, this guy like can really mess me up. And then of course, it was a bluff.
Exactly.
And, yep.
Then it's a happily ever after. Like they escape into the sunlight. Wesley, Buttercup, Fezzik, and Inigo grab some horses and ride off into the sunset.
My favorite part of the movie is the grandpa stops right before the end of the story because he remembers that his grandson has a strong dismay to.
Yeah, he doesn't like all the kissing scenes.
And the grandson has to very like embarrassingly be like, "No, it's you can keep reading. Like it's okay. I want to hear it."
Yeah, like I want it, and he's so into it now. Like he's rooting for Buttercup and Wesley to get back together. It's very cute.
It's nice thing because it also kind of shows like how young boys can enjoy stories about romance. Like
Exactly.
the thing that he likes is like the romantic part of it.
Yeah, because I mean, that's
It's part of the story.
It's part of the story.
So they finish the book. The grandpa decides that it's time for his grandson to go to bed. It's time for him to leave. And the grandson very sweetly requests that he come back sometime and reread the story to him, to which his grandpa, and this is the final line in the movie, says, "As you wish."
Yes.
Which, I mean, perfect ending.
Wonderful ending. It's such a great movie. And it just does make me a little sad, I guess, that it just sometimes feels like movies like this aren't made anymore.
Yeah.
Like movies for the whole family that really have something in it for everybody. It a lot of times feels like media that is geared towards kids is very concerned and only concerned with entertaining kids.
Also, that's not to say, please do not remake The Princess Bride.
No. Never. Apparently, they were discussing a remake a few days ago, and some of the original cast was like very upset about it.
I would boycott that movie.
If you make a perfect movie,
don't touch it.
Don't touch it.
Yeah.
You did it right the first time.
Yes. This movie was made in, I think, like 1987.
Yes.
And
87.
yes. And it is 2025. Mm-hmm. What year is it? 2025.
2025, yes.
And I could watch this movie for another 45 years.
No, it holds up. And this will hold up, I think, well into the future.
Yes.
Like, it genuinely is a perfect film. Our next movie is very different.
Very different.
It is an anthology of kind of short stories. It's 3 short stories turned into one movie. They loosely interconnect at points. Mm-hmm. Tale of Tales was made in 2015 by director Matteo Garron.
Now, is he a foreign director? He's not a Hollywood director.
He is not a Hollywood director.
Okay.
He's Italian, and I believe this was made by an Italian production company.
Okay, I didn't know that. I tried to, whenever I watch these movies, I try to do as little research before watching, and then after watching, I try to do research on it. But while watching this movie, I was like, something about it, like the way it looks and the way the style is, I was like, this doesn't have that like Hollywood look to it
At all.
And I was like, I wonder if it's a foreign film.
English language, but Italian production company and an Italian director. It is also based on the book of very famous Italian book of fairy tales by author Giambattista Basile, which actually predates the Brothers Grimm. So this
Really?
Yes. Okay, so this was a first watch for you.
Yes. First viewing.
Okay, I had seen it before. I really like this movie. Like, this is like an underrated gem in my opinion. And I am curious like what your initial thoughts are.
I thought I liked it.
Okay. Ooh.
Yes. Okay. Well, yes, I liked it. I think with especially like fairy tales and movies about fairy tales and like stuff like that, I am kind of like a child at heart.
Yeah.
And I'm much more of a romantic. So I think if you were to ask me, do I prefer this or a movie kind of like The Princess Bride that's much more of like a romance comedy, I think I'm always just going to lean towards movies like that.
That is so fair. This is an R-rated movie. Like, this is not a family film.
It's described as a fantasy horror.
Yes, I
Which
saw that
I
that's how it's
find
classified. There are
interesting.
definitely some horror elements to it.
Totally.
What I did kind of like about it are the 3 stories that are told in this movie are stories that in theory could be read to kids, but this movie is kind of concerned with the darker elements of them and the more kind of perverse and weird side of the fairy tale.
Definitely perverse.
Yes.
Yes.
Which is very much maybe geared a little more towards my taste. When I saw this for the first time, I saw it pretty much when it came out. I heard it was a fairy tale movie, and I saw a very, very strong visual from the film that is very strange. It's Salma Hayek.
I knew it was going to be that one.
Yes, there's a visual of Salma Hayek, who she's one of the characters in it, sitting in a white room eating a giant heart raw on a plate, and she's covered in blood. And I saw the visual, and I was just like, I have to see this movie. I want to see this.
Can I just say that is the best visual in
It's
the
a
entire film.
great
That
visual.
shot it looks like it could be in like a fashion magazine.
It really does. It's
yeah,
very
there's
beautiful.
so much style to it.
So the story that the film opens on is called The Enchanted Doe, and it stars Salma Hayek and John C. Reilly as the king and queen of Long Trellis. The three stories kind of exist in three neighboring kingdoms.
Yes.
That's kind of the setup for all three of them. She cannot conceive a child. She is absolutely distraught by this. She wants a child more than anything. So one night, the king and queen are visited by a necromancer who tells them to find a sea monster, cut out its heart, have it cooked by a virgin, and if the queen eats it, she will fall pregnant immediately. So the king sets out to kill a sea monster. I loved this scene.
I do too.
It's so deeply strange.
I have to say, why is the king going?
That was my very, very first thought. So the king himself ventures underwater in this like weighted copper suit so he can walk underwater because the suit weighs him down. Which
would give me a panic attack.
Same.
Being weighted down to the seafloor like that. Like,
yes.
Yes, that would freak me out so bad.
It is very scary to watch. And they really do a good job of showing how vast the sea is around him, how vast and empty. And he's just alone down there on the floor of the sea.
And I just have to say, I mean, his council must want him dead because he has no heir and he is the king. Do they have no soldiers that could do this?
Exactly.
Like, I was so confused why he himself is going down there.
I would have preferred if maybe they threw in a line when the necromancer was there where he specifies that it has to be one of them that cuts out the sea monster's heart.
I agree.
Because I was just kind of like, well, don't they have a guy for this? Like, why would the king himself be doing it?
I wrote, is he a deep sea diving expert? Like, what the fuck? And of course, it blows right up in his face. So he finds this sea monster and he stabs it with a harpoon type weapon and the monster immediately attacks back. And they do a great job of showing how scary that is. The water's murky and it's dark and you can't see anything, and it really puts you in like the panic of what you would do in that situation. It's very well done, and of course the king is hit by, I think, like the
tail, the sea monster's tail like whacks him.
Yes, and gives him a nasty gash, which ends up fatal.
Killing him. But he did wound the sea monster enough that the sea monster also bleeds out. So he dies, the sea monster dies, the queen gets her heart.
And she does not care at all that her husband dies.
Oh, I mean, she is completely unfazed. Like, she wants a kid.
Yeah, she picks that heart up and literally walks right by his dead body. It's insane.
Yeah. I did kind of find the scene funny of someone going down to the basement of the castle to all the scullery maids and going up to this one girl and going like, "You're a virgin, right?"
Yeah.
And she's like, "Yeah." Like
why? Why do you need to know?
Yeah. So they find this virgin scullery maid. As she is cooking the heart, they decide to boil it. Okay.
Gross.
Yeah, right?
I mean, if I'm going to have to eat a heart.
Like sauteed.
Yeah. Like roasted with a nice like overnight marinade.
You want that little crisp on the outside.
Yes. I don't want to know I'm eating a heart. Like, I don't even boiled anything. Boiled meat is disgusting on its own. Could you imagine eating like a boiled heart?
As she's cooking the heart, she falls pregnant.
Insane. I wrote, could you imagine being that woman? You're told to go and cook a meal.
And it is kind of, there's a little bit of gruesomeness to it in her she's kind of, the heart's boiling. She's inhaling the steam from the boiling pot and her stomach just like kind of swells. Oh. And there's a real kind of like bodily grossness to it.
Yeah, it's a little body
And she's
horror.
obviously terrified because she has no idea what's happening.
Well, that's what I mean. It's like, imagine you like work in the castle and some guy comes up to you and is like, "Hey, I need you to cook a meal. You're a virgin, right?" And she's like, "Okay."
Yeah, like, I don't see what being a virgin has to do with it.
Yeah, I don't know what that correlation is, but sure, I'll boil this heart, and then you're boiling it and you could become pregnant. And you're a virgin. And then we cut to that incredible shot.
Such a good shot. It's an all white room. She's sitting at the end of a table and just housing this sea monster heart.
Yeah, eating it like it's her job.
Yeah. Many years later, the queen's son and also the virginal scullery maid's son are both now young adults. They're teenage boys. They are both albino.
Yes.
Yes, and they're identical.
Yes. Yeah.
They are played by real-life twins, Jonah and Christian Lees, who I've never seen in anything else, and I think they do a really good job in this.
I think they do great. I actually, when I first started watching it, I thought it was like a
trick. CGI.
Yeah. Like kind of like a Parent Trap kind of thing. And then once I saw the two of them together, you can kind of notice the similarities and
a few little differences.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought they did a great job as well.
Yes. So they are like best buds. They do everything together. The queen does not appreciate that.
No. In fact, when we first kind of are introduced to both of them, the queen is playing what I can only describe as the most boring game ever, which is run through this maze.
Yeah, like run through this like stone like labyrinth thing.
Yeah, it's like a more boring version of tag.
Yeah, basically.
I did think it was kind of sweet how she clearly loves her son.
Yes. And like wants to run around with him and be silly and like have fun with him. And he uses this game basically as an excuse to like lose her in the maze so that he can go hang out with his brother, which I'm just going to call them brothers, even though I know they're technically not.
Yes. Well, I mean,
they
in
are,
a weird way, they kind of are, but they aren't.
Yes. So the queen overhears the two boys discussing one night. Elias, who is the queen's son, is telling Jonah, the scullery maid's son, that basically when he's made king, they can kind of both be king because they're identical and like no one will be able to tell the difference if they switch out. So like they're going to be king together, and the queen is not happy about this.
No, she is furious.
Yes.
Yeah. And she immediately just goes on the attack.
Yes. And literally tries to murder Jonah, like chases him through the castle, through this like meat locker.
Yeah, it's like kind of like a back alley type of thing. And she is literally hiding, like it's like a whack job. Like he literally walks by and she smacks him on the back of the head and he's able to get away. And I also wrote, why are they doing their own work again? Can't she hire like an assassin to do this?
Yeah.
She's the queen. There's no guard that she can pay off to be like, go murder this boy.
No, literally. And like what experience does like a monarch have with like direct murder?
I mean, clearly not enough because he got away super easily.
Yeah, like it was not hard to lose her.
Yes.
But then basically Jonah realizes that he can't, like if he hangs around the castle any longer, the queen will probably murder him. So him and his mother go to move away. Elias sees them leaving. He is absolutely heartbroken that like his brother and best friend is leaving.
Basically, Elias is like, I'm your king and I demand you to stay. And Jonah, clearly understanding that his friend is hurt, brings him over to a creek and kind of like, what does he do? He like cuts the root?
It's like a fantasy tree, essentially. Like
Yes.
It's something that doesn't exist, but it exists in the world of this movie, and like you kind of don't really question it. He stabs the root of a tree and water starts sprouting from it.
And it creates like a little spring, basically. And he basically says, like, if the water dries up, like, my life has ended.
And if the water runs muddy or if it runs red, it means I'm in trouble. One day in the near future, the stream starts running muddy.
I mean, it's like blood red.
Yeah.
It almost looks like it's like full of blood. That's what I thought at first. And then all of a sudden I was like, oh no, what's going on with Jonah?
Elias goes to find him, runs away from the castle, which puts the queen into a panic. She sends out a bunch of men to go search for Elias. She visits the necromancer, who blames the queen for Elias running away and saying that you keep trying to separate them. They're connected by forces more powerful than you. You will never be able to separate them, essentially. Like they were both kind of created from this unnatural thing.
Yes.
Like they are intrinsically connected.
And she says, I don't give a fuck. And just does whatever she wants.
She says, I don't care.
Yes.
And he tells her that she has a violent desire and the only way to achieve it is through more violence. And she says, okay.
Yeah, she says, bet.
That scene where he tells her like violence begets violence and she's like so ready to do whatever it is like quite intense. And it's like, oh, like what's going to happen? Like what deal is she making with this necromancer? I was kind of underwhelmed. with what ends up happening.
Yes, I think it in theory, like in the story, and this is kind of why I want to read these stories after watching this movie. I think in the story, it's probably more epic to read, but I agree with you. I think I was very underwhelmed by. Yeah, basically, Elias finds this kind of peasant family that mistakes him for Jonah, and they reveal that Jonah has been away for 5 days and he was last seen in the forest or something like that.
Yes, and what has happened is Jonah was, I'm assuming, hunting in the forest or
Yes.
something. He fell into this cave and broke his leg. So Elias sets out after him. He finds him, and they're attacked by this giant bat monster. The monster goes to kill Jonah. Elias steps in front of it, and the monster kind of hesitates.
Yeah, it seems like it can't attack Elias for an unknown reason.
So Elias takes the opportunity and slays the beast. It is then revealed that the beast is actually Salma Hayek, the queen. Out of the 3 stories, this probably is my least favorite one. And it's also the one that takes up the most time in the film. It's definitely the longest. It's introduced first. And as we mentioned earlier, the film is made up of 3 stories that are intercut with one another. This is definitely has the most screen time, and it probably was my least favorite. Like, I feel like especially towards the end of it, I was more curious at what was going on in the other 2 kingdoms, and kind of, I don't know, I found this one a little anticlimactic.
I think this one, I disagree. It was not necessarily my least favorite, but it did have the most disappointing ending for me. I guess I was just kind of waiting for, because I think it actually did a great job building up a really good ending, just with like, you know, the mother and the dynamic between the 2 boys, and then the one goes away. I was really hoping for a bigger kind of ending, and not to say that, because it is based off of a fairy tale, and that's kind of the thing is, I'd like to read the original story because I think maybe it just translates better in the book than it does onto the screen.
Yes, definitely.
But yeah, I was a little underwhelmed at the end. Yeah, that's for sure.
The next story is my favorite. This story is kind of the reason why I love this movie so much. This is just everything I want out of a dark, twisted fairy tale. The second story that we're introduced to in the film is called The Flayed Old Lady. It does have it's kind of explores a theme that I really do love in books and films, which is kind of the futility of the pursuit of beauty. Like, I love The Substance, which just came out, which we saw together.
We love it.
It's definitely a theme that if I know a movie or book explores that, I am interested. So this takes place in Strongcliff, which neighbors Long Trellis, where the last story took place. The king of Strongcliff is played by Vincent Castle, who is so perfectly cast.
So, I mean, the second that he is introduced,
yes.
First of all, talk about a character introduction.
He is introduced in the back of a carriage having a threesome.
Yes, it cuts to these 2 semi-naked women making out in a carriage, and you're like, what am I watching? And then he just pops his head up from the ground, and I was like, that is such a great character reveal. Like, tells you so much without saying anything.
Exactly. This story begins with, I really, really enjoyed kind of the opening scene of it, which it opens on the remnants of an epic orgy.
Yes, just pure like debauchery,
but the morning after.
Yes.
So it's just naked people lying everywhere, you know, wine and grapes, and it's in this beautiful like grotto, and he's going around to all the different people trying to wake them up to like keep the party going, and no one's interested.
My first note is, who is this degenerate? Keep it in your pants, man. He is, I mean, throughout this whole story, this guy needs to go to a sex therapist.
No,
for sure.
Literally. On his way home, he hears a beautiful female voice singing. He sees the back of a peasant woman. She's singing, and her voice is absolutely stunning. He calls out to her. She runs into her home. He wrongfully assumes that the voice belongs to a beautiful young maiden. It actually belongs to an old crone who lives in this house with her sister. They're like, they're washerwomen who dye clothing. So yes, these two elderly sisters, Emma and Dora, live together.
And can I just say the makeup is so good.
Yes.
These are younger women playing older women.
Yes, they're played by Haley Carmichael and Shirley Henderson in old age makeup.
It's really well done.
The king decides that he's going to court the owner of this beautiful voice. He sends her beautiful jewelry. He wants to see her. She and her sister they're trying to figure out what's going on, but they're also like, we have the attention of the king.
Yes, one sister is a little bit more timid about the
Yes.
king and is a little scared to deceive him. The other sister, who I can't remember which of the two,
Dora, who is the one with the voice.
Dora is like, hold on, we got a good thing going here. Like, let's not let this opportunity pass. And she is willing to like continue this facade of being like a beautiful young woman.
Yes, they speak through the door of their house, her and the king. She kind of puts on this voice and says that she's only 17, she's a virgin. He's, of course, enchanted by this thing that he can't have.
He demands to see her,
Yes.
and she promises that if he comes back next week, she'll give him a finger.
They spend the week trying to figure out ways to make her finger look young.
Yes.
Like they put it in boiling water. They wrap it up with a cloth.
They try every DIY remedy that you can imagine.
Yeah. Skincare before skincare, truly.
Yeah.
So it doesn't work. She ends up like kind of destroying her finger.
And it's like burnt and red at the end. It's so funny.
Yeah. And so they improv I think she sticks one of her sister's fingers through.
And of course, the king, being just this horny idiot, eats it right up. I mean, he is kissing it. He is like, oh, this beautiful young proof of life. Like, it is so funny how he is like on his knees at this front door.
It's hilarious. He is so seduced by the finger that he demands that she spend an evening with him. Mm-hmm. He's just like, I'm being gracious. Like, I can have whatever I want. If I want to have sex with you, I can.
Right.
And it just does add this air of like, oh God, like how are they going to get out of this now that they've kind of kept up this ruse for so long?
The more timid sister is like terrified of what they've kind of gotten themselves into. And Dora just does not care. I mean, she is looking forward to this night of sex with the king.
So
this is so funny, this part.
It was so good. They basically like
they like take glue or wax
and like pull her old lady skin like back and like almost paste it to her back to like make it seem like her body's tight and young.
It is so funny. I mean, they're basically taking like her naked breasts and
pinning them behind her back.
It is so disturbing and so absurd.
Yeah.
And just so like, it's one of those moments, again, it reminds me of when we were watching The Substance and we had that moment we were like, what the fuck are we watching? Like I had that exact moment, and so I just couldn't stop laughing.
The movie does like kind of acknowledge the comedy of these moments.
Totally.
And lets it play for comedy, even though there is that element of like, Jesus.
Yeah.
So yes, she spends the night with the king with the requirement that all the lights are off when they spend their night together.
For good reason.
She goes over, they do sleep together. He wants to get a look at this beautiful maiden. So in the morning when she's still asleep, he opens the blinds and sees that she is an old hag.
And he reacts very calmly.
He reacts incredibly calmly by screaming in disgust.
And ordering that they push her out the window.
Yes, has his guards come in. The only thing around her is a sheet. She's this little old lady.
I mean, it's so funny.
He can't even look at her.
He's like
so disgusted.
gagging.
Yes. Brilliant performance by Vincent Castle.
Yeah.
And they toss her out the window of this tower. He does not care if she lives or dies. Like,
no.
He wants her out of his sight right now, and like her life means virtually nothing to him.
Yes.
He's disgusted that he was deceived in this way. The sheet that she had wrapped around her catches in some of the trees and saves her. She is discovered tangled up in the trees by a witch who, this witch, instead of like, I don't know, like offering her a ride on the back of her horse or something, breastfeeds her.
Yes, this was another why did I sign up to do this podcast moment. I was literally like, what am I watching?
Yeah, this part was interesting. I get it. That is the medium of the magic that this witch uses in this story, but it was a little bit like, all right, like this is just being weird for the sake of being weird.
Yes, the only way I can like defend it, if it's even, I'm gonna say that's what I'm doing right now, is the only thing I can think of is like the effect that the breastfeeding has on her kind of is like in theme.
A rebirth.
Yes, it's like a rebirth, youth, whatever you want to call it. So it's kind of like, I guess, but I'm with you where it's like, I feel like this was just done to be outlandish.
Yeah, I mean, it does kind of fit with the vibe of the movie. Like, it didn't entirely take me out of it because there is so much strangeness going on here.
Right.
But it was a bit like, all right, like, fine.
Yeah, it's like, I'll overlook this one movie. But
yeah, like, this one I can
don't be doing too much of this now.
Yeah, no, agreed. She falls asleep, wakes up as a beautiful young maiden.
Which I thought that transformation scene was really well done.
Me too.
We basically do a pan over her naked body and we get to see her skin go from old to young, and it's very, very well transitioned.
I really liked that a lot. This maiden is then discovered in the forest by the king.
Which, I'm so sorry to interrupt. He is in the forest with a gun. And my first thought is, oh my God, is he coming back to kill her? Like, that is literally the first thing I thought. I was like, wow, he's so salty about having sex with her. But he's actually just hunting.
Yeah, no, he's out hunting, discovers, as you do, just like a stunning naked model in the middle of the forest.
Talk about like mythology, fantasy, especially like those darker stories. I feel like that imagery of like the naked woman in the woods
there
is like,
is definitely an element of like the Venus de Milo and how she's shown. But yeah, the king decides that he is going to marry her, obviously not knowing that she is secretly the old woman that he had thrown out of the tower. Her sister has just been like running their little washerwoman business alone, receives an invitation to the royal wedding, as well as a beautiful gown that she very funnily puts on wrong. She kind of hilariously wears it almost like a kid would wear it, like because she doesn't have servants to do up the back for her. So it's like loose on her shoulders. Dora, who's now young and beautiful, sees her sister and tells her like, hey, like I don't really know what happened, but like it's me and I'm really young and beautiful now and like I'm marrying the king and like good for you because now you're gonna be rich.
right.
But like please don't tell anyone that you're my sister because you're basically so ugly and uncouth that like it doesn't look good for me that you're my sister.
And it's so funny because Emma immediately does not follow this direction.
No, like she was like, no, like don't talk to me, don't tell anyone you're my sister. She immediately starts telling everyone that she's her sister.
Yes, she literally turns to the next person and is like, that's my sister, where's my sister? Like,
Yeah.
it is so funny. I mean, you would think that it's like when you tell a kid like, hey, don't touch that, they walk right up and touch it. It's just so funny.
So it's even like she refuses to leave the castle at the end of the wedding party. Like her sister has to like convince her to leave. She, in desperation, asks her sister, how did this happen to you? How did it happen to you? Dora just wants her to get out. Like,
right at this point, Dora is like, you are jeopardizing my shot
Yes.
at marrying the king, so I don't even care about you anymore. You got to get the fuck out of here.
and no, fully, like she was acting insane at this party.
Yes, I mean, talk about like, again, jeopardizing, revealing the truth. I mean, she is not keeping her mouth shut even a little bit.
Yes. And Dora, who doesn't know how she woke up young and beautiful, kind of out of desperation to just get her sister to leave, says, I had myself flayed. Emma finds this random blacksmith, offers to pay him to flay her. She approaches someone who says, no, I won't. And then she finds this kind of more like deviant guy.
Yeah, she goes to like her local blacksmith and he's like, absolutely not. What are you talking about? I'm not going to do that. And so she basically finds like a Craigslist version of a blacksmith.
Essentially, yeah.
Yes, and he is down to do it. And not only that, he takes her to the woods and he's like, yeah, so no one will hear you scream out here. And it's so...
I did find that very funny.
Yes, it's just so funny because he's like so down, like no questions asked. He's like, yeah, sure. If you're paying, yeah, I guess.
And then the story concludes with, I thought, such a great like horrid visual of her walking through the town flayed.
Yes.
And it's a great like tracking shot behind her. We then cut to see her front, and it's just it is as horrifying as you imagine it to be.
Yeah, that again is where those horror elements come in. And I would argue that the real ending happens at the very, very end.
Agreed.
Where
the three stories kind of intertwine a little bit and share a scene at the end. So the third story is titled The Flea and stars Toby Jones, who I love. So yeah, he's the king of High Hills. He has a young daughter, Violet. No queen, which, do they ever bring that up?
I don't believe so.
Yeah, I think we assume that she died or something.
Yeah.
But his daughter is reaching marriageable age, and she is absolutely desperate to get out of there.
She brings it up basically any chance she gets with her father that, you know, he should be finding a husband for her. She's looking for men. She has her maids constantly read fairy tales to her.
Yes.
And specifically only wants the parts where the two kiss. Yes. Very anti-Princess Bride.
Yeah, like the opposite of the Princess Bride.
Yes.
But the king of High Hills becomes fascinated by a flea. He hides it in his room and basically feeds it and treats it like his own child, and it grows massive. So the flea very sadly dies one day, and there is a funny scene of like the castle doctors, like
the king is like, come quickly, fix him. And he walks in and the doctor's like, what the fuck is that?
In mourning, I guess, he has the flea skinned because he wants to keep the hide of the flea.
Yes. And at the same time, the princess is basically going to her father and is like, it's time. Pick me a husband.
Yeah.
We need to get going.
Yeah. She like kind of gives him an ultimatum saying like, if you don't find me a husband, like I'm going to basically leave. The king basically thinks it would be funny to orchestrate a challenge for his daughter's suitors. He's going to invite them all to the castle and have them guess which animal the hide is from. Obviously, no one will guess flea because it's a massive hide.
Yeah, it's like the size of the wall. It's huge, so it's a trick, essentially.
Exactly.
No one will guess it.
Yes, and it's kind of his way of pretending like he's going to let his daughter get married, but he knows that no one will know what the hide is. So,
exactly.
Yeah. Bunch of suitors come in. They all get it wrong. There's a cute moment where there's one that she thinks is good looking. And she's like, Dad, come on. Like, I forget what he guesses, but he guesses wrong. And she's like, Dad, like,
right, say it.
Like, say yes. Like, this is the guy. Like, I want to marry this one. And the dad is, he's playing fair. So he says, no, you got it wrong. The next suitor that comes in is an ogre.
Which, why is she so disgusted? That man is easily 6'4". He's well built.
I had the exact same thing in my notes.
Everyone is like, when I tell you, everyone in court in that scene is like basically running away from this man. He is very fine.
He immediately guesses that the hide is from a flea. The look of horror on both her face and the king's face is very funny, which is followed by, which in my opinion is the best acted scene in the entire film. She wants to throw herself off the roof of the castle rather than marry this ogre. And he follows her up there and basically says like, yes, I made a mistake, but you're going to have to live with the consequences of it. 'Cause like, I'm a king. I made the promise. You have to do what I say.
Yeah, you're so right. The performances from the both of them is so great. Yeah.
Yeah, like there's real like emotion in this scene, and this just really stood out to me as an incredibly well acted scene.
Yes, especially the actress. I had not seen her in anything before this, and I was like, oh, she's really bringing it.
She goes home with the ogre in kind of a funny sequence of him literally taking her through like cliffs and woods and deserts, like back to his cave in the mountains. From there on, she's basically like almost a prisoner. She like helps him with little house tasks. But she's living there unhappily. He like barely speaks to her. One day when the ogre is not there, a family of acrobats kind of comes across her from a neighboring cliff. And she begs them for help. She says, I've been kidnapped by an ogre.
So their genius plan is to create a tightrope.
Yes, and because they're acrobats.
And to carry her across.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, works pretty well.
I mean, it does. They do get her across. The ogre, when they're like halfway across the tightrope, starts following them. And they just make it to the end and are able to cut the rope before he crosses the chasm.
Yes, he falls into this gorge, supposedly to his death.
Yes.
We see the acrobats kind of in this caravan with the princess. They're all kind of like joking around, having a good time together.
They're like very happy now. Like she's ecstatic that
yeah, they're literally like having a party in the back of this like wagon.
They're like playing like fiddles and like dancing. She's so happy that now she's safe.
Yeah, supposedly.
Unbeknownst to her, the ogre has survived the fall into the gorge, chases the caravan down, and brutally murders the entire family.
Yeah, it is a very like intense scene.
It is unexpected. You are expecting the family to like put up a little more of a fight, just like based on what you expect in movies. But it truly is just like he absolutely like bloody, brutal murder mows through them.
The princess grabs a knife for her protection.
She tries to run away. She basically runs into a dead end. She very smartly, once the ogre gets there, kind of uses her wits, knowing that she can't overpower him, pretends to be saved by him. She then murders him.
She cuts his throat like a trained assassin. I mean, her face when she does it is cold.
Yes. She then shows up back at her father's castle, covered in blood, carrying the ogre's head.
Which I thought was overkill a little bit.
Really? I kind of liked it.
Well, I liked it.
It's also like she is, because at her core, this is a 17-year-old girl who's trying to prove a point to her dad.
That is true. I not that I didn't.
Did you not have a flair for the dramatic at 17?
I did. I still do.
Violet is now the queen. Her father has retired his crown, and the royalty from the neighboring kingdoms, including Vincent Castle and his beautiful young wife, who's actually an old lady.
And Elias.
And Elias, the albino twin, who is...
who is now the king, I would assume.
Yes, because Salma Hayek is dead. They all gather for her coronation. As they're all standing around witnessing the coronation, Dora's skin begins to get wrinkly. And then the camera moves skyward, where in the kind of sky above, it's like an open air castle, like a tightrope walker is walking across a tightrope, and that is the final shot of the film. I love it. I really like this movie. I like fairy tales, and I like when fairy tales are not concerned with being kid friendly. I think there is something so universal about these stories that, I mean, even the director he said that he specifically chose these 3 stories because they deal with subject matter that a lot of people deal with. Plastic surgery, kind of not feeling understood by your family, the desire to have a child, maybe.
That's interesting. I guess I didn't really think how relatable these stories were. Because to me, I see more of the absurdity of it.
That's fair.
I don't really see, when I watch this movie, I don't really see the story. I see just kind of like the chaos in it. So it like, you know, the giant flea and the woman doing all these remedies to make her finger young, and then her sister getting her skin flayed. That's the part that kind of just sticks out to me, and it kind of puts this,
like the more extreme moments of it.
Yes, and it kind of just puts this almost like a film over the movie.
I feel like sometimes when things are approached from an unrealistic standpoint or a more kind of absurdist standpoint, I can find them more relatable than being shown a story about a specific person.
I understand what you're saying.
I was curious at the end of it. It did take me a little bit of thinking about it to be like, what is the thing that connects all of them? And it really is that each one of them centers around a character with a strong desire that they get what they want, but not exactly what they wanted.
Right. All right.
Okay.
Final
movie. Very different. Kind of more back to a Princess Bride type vibe.
I feel like The Princess Bride almost kind of makes fun of the movie that we are
That is fair.
going to talk about next.
Okay, so we watched Ever After, full title Ever After, a Cinderella Story, directed by Andy Tennant. This came out in 1998. It was written by Andy Tennant, Susanna Grant, and Rick Parks. I really like this movie. You had seen it before.
I had. I grew up loving this movie. I still to this day love this movie. It's like one of my top 10 movies ever. And purely just because like it is just, you have to like this movie like for what it is. Like you have to take it out at a surface value.
100%.
It is so great with what it is. Like, yeah, it's cheesy, it's corny, but if you just let go and lean into what it's trying to be, it is so perfect. And I also love like this movie is such a little like relic in its time.
It is very of its time.
Yes, with the casting and the sets and the way it's filmed, it is so like 90s. I can just almost imagine being in the year like 1998 and going to the movie theater and everyone's like in their 90s outfits and being like, we're gonna go see the new Drew Barrymore movie.
Yes.
Like I just love that aspect of it.
I really enjoyed it. It's definitely not something I ever would have watched if we weren't watching it for this.
Right.
And I'm really happy that I did. Like it was a lot of fun.
Okay.
It's a good time.
Yes, it definitely is a good time. Let's jump right into it. So the film opens with the Brothers Grimm going to this castle under the invitation of this older woman. We don't really know why they've been summoned there. This older woman kind of expresses her disdain for their take on Cinderella.
Yes.
Yeah.
And basically tells them that I actually know Cinderella. And I did kind of like that the Brothers Grimm are like deeply confused by this. Like,
yeah, they are like, what do you mean? So yes, this older woman basically says that she is going to tell them the real Cinderella story of this woman named Danielle. And I love how she goes, what's that phrase you use? Once upon a time. I was like, yeah, this movie is cheesy, but I love it.
No, honestly, I will say I was expecting, especially from the beginning, I was expecting more cheese than there ended up being.
Really?
Like I was at this part I was not bought in yet. I was a little like, okay, like let's see what Maggie wanted me to watch. And then
here we go.
And then once it gets going, it gets into the plot. And my kind of one overarching note for this movie is it is incredibly well paced.
Oh, yes.
So it does star Drew Barrymore as Danielle, who is doing the worst British accent I have ever heard. Fire your accent, coach.
I mean, it is so bad.
It's the British accent of someone who's like just heard a British accent for the first time.
It's giving Dick Van Dyke and Mary Poppins.
Yes.
That is how bad it is. And it's funny because after we leave the Brothers Grimm and we go into this story that the older one is telling, we see Danielle, our main character, as a little girl. And the little girl who plays Danielle can't really do the accent either.
No, she cannot.
So I said at least they're consistent with the bad accent.
Yes.
So this story takes place during the French Renaissance. We're set in France, and yet everyone is doing a British accent.
Yes, as they all do in France.
And again, like we said, Danielle's British accent really just is not on par with everybody else's, but it's fine. So Danielle, her father, and their servants live in this little French like manor in the countryside, which dream house.
It is
dream house.
Beautiful.
It is stunning. Danielle's father has recently married the Baroness, played by the incredible Angelica Houston.
If I'm thinking like dream cast for an evil stepmother type character, Angelica Houston.
Oh, she's incredible. This might be my favorite role of hers aside from Morticia Addams.
I honestly get it. She plays the character not as kind of stereotypically evil. She's like deeply manipulative.
Yes, so the Baroness comes with 2 daughters.
Who are played by Megan Dodds and Melanie Linsky.
Yes. So in this childhood opening scene, we can tell that Danielle and her father are extremely close. He gifts her a book, Utopia. He says, you know, the Baroness, she's new to this and you're really going to have to help her. And Danielle's excited to get a new mother and
like new sisters.
Yeah, she's very excited.
And he just like wants everyone to get along. Like he's excited.
So Danielle's father unfortunately has to go away on business again. And the day that he's leaving, everyone's obviously upset. You can tell the Baroness actually does like Danielle's father.
Oh, yeah.
She really loves Danielle's father, but she doesn't love that he had this life before he met her.
Exactly. That is exactly the vibe that you get.
And that is kind of the immediate beef that starts with Danielle, and this beef only grows after this next scene. So Danielle's father gets on his horse, but we can tell that he's having some sort of health issue.
Yeah, like I thought like a stroke or a heart attack or something.
He keeps grabbing his hand at first, like it's aching him, and it only gets worse. And finally, as he's riding off in the gate, he collapses. Danielle and the Baroness both run after him, and while the Baroness is crying over him, he ignores her and tends to Danielle. And this is where you see Angelica Houston really just shining. I mean, the look that she gives her.
Stony hatred. Years later, Danielle is like 17, 16, 17.
I'd have to imagine she's like 18.
Yeah.
And this is where we see Drew Barrymore for the first time.
Yes, and Drew Barrymore plays Danielle for the rest of the film. I don't even know how to introduce this next part of how she meets the prince.
So Danielle has kind of been working as a servant to her stepmother and step-siblings.
Yeah, Angelica Houston like essentially treats her like a servant. She like lives with the other servants, hangs out with them, like they are kind of her family.
Yes, and so she is in the fields picking apples one day where a mysterious man, well first of all, we do get a quick scene at the castle.
Yes.
Where we learn that the Prince Henry is kind of a little bit rebellious and is a nuisance to the king and the queen.
Yes. He's engaged to marry a Spanish princess, and he's hugely upset by this. He does not want to be king. He does not want to get married. He just wants to like ride his horse and fuck around.
Yes. And he's basically been sent to his room.
Yeah. And he's like 35.
Yes.
Like he's like a grown man.
He is at least 20. Like
that man is 30.
Okay, like, well, because Danielle is like 19, I'm going to believe that he is closer to her age because I don't want to ruin this movie.
Fair enough.
The king and the queen are bickering how basically they have no control over their son. He doesn't want to do what he's told. They go to his room to confront him about whatever he's done this time, and he has run away. So cut back to Danielle in the apple orchard. She sees who we know as the prince, but who she knows as to be a thief or a stranger stealing her father's horse. And I wrote maybe the best intro of our 2 main characters meeting.
Stop. My only note for this part was she has an arm.
She basically runs after him and
she starts like chucking apples at him, hits him square in the face, and knocks him off his horse.
Off a moving horse. And she hits him like, you're right, like in between the eyes, like a bullseye. And of course, he falls back. His cape is revealed.
Like his hood falls off. She like realizes that she just did that to the prince and like freaks out, falls to her knees, like is begging for forgiveness.
He kind of doesn't really care. He just brushes it off.
Yeah, he just wants the horse.
He says the most obnoxious line, and this is something I love about this movie, how the prince really goes from being this spoiled baby who's such a whiner to like understanding that he is not the only person in the world who has problems. So Danielle wishes that he would take any other horse than her dead father's, understandably. Love that. And she goes, if you want, we have stronger horses, my lord. And he goes, what I want is to be free from my gilded cage.
Oh, he's so emo.
He's such a baby. And he gives her a few gold coins so she will be silent about seeing him. And he rides off. So we cut to breakfast where the Baroness, Jacqueline, and Marguerite are waiting for Danielle to serve their breakfast. And you just see how awful Marguerite is right off the bat. I mean, she is, I would argue, worse than the Baroness. She is such a brat.
Yes, she's horrible. I did really like, so they kind of differentiate the stepsisters.
Yes.
By one of them is quite cruel and mean, and she's a beautiful blonde. She has hopes of kind of maybe marrying higher than her station. While Marguerite is kind of a brat and horrible, Jacqueline, the Baroness's other daughter, is more timid and meek.
Yes,
And
I
I
think
just really like that. I feel like a lot of Cinderella stories kind of equate the two stepsisters and just kind of make them the same.
Yes, I think it depends on like the version you watch. I think in most movie adaptations, they're both kind of nasty and vile. In the musical, one stepsister actually is a little bit kinder to Ella. Danielle comes in, serves them breakfast. She also sees her servants and reveals that these gold coins, which the prince gave her, are just enough to buy back one of the servants that the Baroness has sold to pay off her debt.
Yes.
And this is where we kind of start to learn how the Baroness has this habit of spending more than they have to keep up this appearance of her being this like very bougie noblewoman. So we go back to the prince. He is making his epic escape from royalty, which is insane. And he sees a carriage being ransacked by bandits.
Yes.
And this is where we see Leonardo da Vinci,
who is a prominent side character.
Oh, he is like drives the plot of this movie many times. I can't tell you why he's in it.
Such an interesting choice.
It's so interesting.
He really could have just been like any old man.
Yeah.
And they decide to make him Leonardo da Vinci. And there's all these like little Da Vinci like Easter eggs like in the stuff that he does.
The introduction to Leonardo da Vinci's character is he's being ransacked and he begs the prince to go after one of the bandits because he stole a painting. He goes, "My painting, it is my life's work." And so the prince chases him down, gets the painting back from him, and it's the Mona Lisa.
Of course.
So Danielle has a plan to go to court and to buy back her servant.
Yes, she disguises herself as a noblewoman and basically sees the servant's husband being like carted away in like an iron cage with all these other I'm assuming servants or enslaved people.
It's like a mix. It's basically like anyone who's being shipped off to the Americas. So they're labeled as criminals, but we know that Danielle's the servant that Danielle is there for is not a criminal.
Yes.
And you can only assume that a lot of men in that cage are kind of in a similar situation.
Exactly. She starts arguing with the jailer, trying to pay him, saying like, "No, I have this money. Like, please let this man go. Like, he's not a criminal."
And at that point, it's too late.
Yes. The jailer won't let him go. So she basically just starts like kind of monologuing about injustice in like this very academic way.
And of course, at that point, the prince comes up and she just turns around and just starts reading him. She's like, yeah, I'm trying to buy back my servant because he's an innocent man and you're horrible for like even having this system in place. Like, she reads him.
Oh, absolutely. And he's like pretty impressed by
he really is like, wow, you're not like other girls.
I do think it's very sweet that the movie is really, really cognizant of making sure it's clear that the prince falls for her because of her intellect and her kindness.
Yes.
And not because she's the most beautiful girl at the ball.
Yeah, today I feel like, again, I said like everything is a marketing strategy. And I feel like feminist characters and kind of women who are not valued for beauty but for their looks or whatever.
There's a way that those kinds of characters are typically portrayed in modern movies.
I think it's just now again it's a commodity.
Yes, it's a marketing tactic. It's to say this is a feminist film.
And I think it actually has a very opposite effect where these female characters are actually kind of just turned into these robot-like figures.
Yes,
where they have no personality.
Yeah.
And so I find this movie to be a breath of fresh air because one, it was very ahead of its time. And two, Danielle is a great character.
She's such a great character.
She is so likable and she has so much personality and like I just love, like, there is reason behind the way she is.
Like, I, watching this, was surprised by kind of how feminist it was.
Oh, yeah.
Without ever seeming like it's preaching anything at you.
No, in no point does this have a message that it is shoving down your throat.
No.
And I think it's because the message that Danielle is giving is not one about gender equality. It's about social status.
Yes.
She, from this first interaction with the prince while buying her servant, she literally is like, you set this system up and like you are punishing those who have to resort to crime because you set up a system that has failed them. And she, again, reads him.
Absolutely. He falls in love with her in that moment. He's like, wait, who's this like pretty girl that I haven't met who's like really smart and has like read the books that I like?
Before he can inquire more about her, she runs away. And here's the thing about Prince Henry. He is arrogant, but you can kind of sympathize with him. You can understand his point of view as a man who's grown up in luxury all his life. He's very much of a dreamer, I would say.
100%. And I mean, it's an understandable motivation. He doesn't want to live the life that has been planned out for him. He wants to choose his own destiny.
Henry is talking to his father, the king, and basically there is this masquerade ball coming up where he is supposed to announce his engagement to the Princess of Spain.
Yes.
And Henry basically expresses his disdain for this, and his father kind of gives in a little bit and makes a deal with him. He says, look, if you can find a woman of your choosing that you would like to marry before the mask, which is what they're calling this ball, he says, then you can marry her. We'll announce it at the mask, and that will be that. And he goes, but if you can't, you have to marry the Spanish princess for this treaty or whatever they're doing. It's important to note that when Henry and Danielle first meet, he insists on getting her name. And she says, the only name I can leave you with is Nicole de Lancre, which was her mother's name.
Yes.
And she was a countess. We see Henry and his new BFF, Leonardo da Vinci, hanging out at a lake where Da Vinci has these shoes to walk on water, and they are basically just little boats for his feet.
So funny. So he's wearing these like little canoes on his feet and stomping across the water.
And I was just like, that's not how that works. So at the same time, while they are hanging out at the lake, Danielle is just doing like typical servant things. I actually don't really know what she's doing in the scene. She's like with a pig in the woods.
Yeah, she just kind of like runs into them again. From their first meeting, they run into each other constantly.
Yes, yeah, they have a lot of like coincidental meetups.
Yeah,
this
one
being
does have to wonder how they've never met before.
Exactly. Exactly. You know, it's funny, when I was watching this, I was like, is the castle like right next door?
Yeah.
Because he is constantly in her neighborhood. So she decides to take a quick little dip in the lake and just kind of enjoy nature. And Leonardo da Vinci, in his magical walk-on water shoes, kind of leans over and he's like, oh, looks like rain, and scares the shit out of her.
Yeah.
And it is so great.
And she like basically almost drowns.
Yeah. And he also gets knocked off his feet. And then, of course, as they're leaving the lake, Henry and Danielle are like, oh, hey, it's you again. And we talked about it in The Princess Bride, but I think these two have great chemistry too. I love how when she reads him, and there's a great exchange they do in this scene where she goes, why do you irritate me so, in her awful British accent? And he goes, well, why do you rise to the occasion? And they kind of have this like little like, you.
Yeah.
And it's very cute. It's giving like that coworker that you tease, but you guys are flirting.
Like they're like pretending to not like each other, but they both know they do.
And again, Danielle makes such great points between them. Basically, he's like, where are your servants? And she's like, oh, I gave them the day off. And he's like, why would you do that? They're servants. Like, that's what they do. And she kind of like gets mad at him and is like, oh, geez, I'm sorry I see my servants as people.
Yeah.
This is a big reason why I love this couple, is because Danielle actively makes Henry a better man.
100%.
Like again, he starts this movie as such a whiny bitch, and every time they interact with each other, he learns more.
No, 100%. And you see his character develop and change and grow kind of through his relationship with her.
Totally.
Which is super cute.
Yes. So some more small stuff happens. There's a little tennis scene with Henry and some other like noble.
Yes. Also, question. Did tennis exist?
I was wondering that myself.
Yes. There's like a full tennis scene, like the rackets are like wooden rackets,
Right.
but-
And they also like hit it against the wall. So it's like a racquetball kind of tennis mixture, but they do call it tennis. So
yeah,
I
and
was
it's-
wondering that too.
I don't know. Like, I didn't look up when tennis was invented, but if anyone knows, leave it in the comments.
I was going to
We're
say,
both very
please let us
curious.
know.
And kind of the whole time, the Baroness is trying to set up him with Marguerite.
We also meet another character who comes pretty important later into the plot, Mr. LePew, who is the
Creepy.
world's slimiest man.
Yeah, sees Danielle and is like, "Hey, like you're you're looking good."
Yeah, he basically like is a rich creep in
Yeah.
town that like buys vegetables from their little like cart in the town square, and he basically like has been perving on Danielle, and she does not like, and he is, when I tell you, so creepy, like
so creepy, and also like not nice to her.
No.
Like, he's actively trying to hit on her, but like is being rude to her still, like still talking down to her.
Yes.
Like, doesn't he call her like fine soil that has been left untended, basically saying like you're really pretty but like you don't try.
yes, yeah, he basically is like the worst kind of pervert.
Yeah.
Danielle is kind of like helping the Baroness get ready for bed. The Baroness is bragging that Marguerite is like basically going to be the prince's fiance.
Yes.
And while Danielle's helping her get ready, she kind of has this moment with the Baroness where they talk about her father. I think Drew Barrymore is so sweet in this scene. Her smile when Angelica Houston is like, "You look so much like your father," is so genuine. Like,
It really
you can
is.
tell it makes her day.
Yeah. And like honestly, accent aside, Drew Barrymore is so charismatic in this movie.
Oh, I think she's perfect in this role.
She really is. It was a very sweet, very emotional scene that was kind of also horrible to watch.
It's interesting because and this is again why I love Angelica Houston in this role too. You can kind of see the conflict she's having with herself.
Yeah.
Like you can tell that she knows that Danielle is sweet and she knows that Danielle has done nothing wrong and she really doesn't deserve this, but then you can also see that she just can't bring herself not to hate her.
Yes.
Danielle and Henry now have what I call their third date, and this one is a bit more planned. So they go to a library. They have a very nice moment where they talk about Danielle's father and how she misses him. Then
They realize they both have the same favorite book, which honestly relatable. Like,
yes, oh, who doesn't love that when you're talking to like someone you like and you have like a similar like favorite TV show or favorite book or favorite type of music. You're like, oh, okay.
like, oh my God, yes.
Yeah.
It's the best. I really enjoyed that the movie spends so much time developing their relationship.
Yes.
Unlike a lot of other Cinderella stories where like she is kind of this mysterious girl to him for the whole movie until the ball. I really like that they actually show like a real courtship. And
Yes,
they
no.
show them growing to like each other.
They end up walking back to the castle, and that is where they are attacked by gypsies.
Yes.
The same gypsies that tried to rob Signor Da Vinci earlier in the movie. And they have a quick little scuffle. They're clearly outnumbered. Henry tells the gypsies to kind of leave Danielle alone, that their quarrel is with him, and to let her kind of leave safely. And this is my favorite part in the whole movie.
It's great because you're expecting like, okay, this is like the prince's like kind of big heroic scene where like he's gonna save her and he's gonna like best all of these guys.
Yes.
And that's not what ends up happening.
Yes. So Danielle, being the badass that she is, she's like, "I demand you give me my things back, and I demand a horse because you've inconvenienced us now." And the gypsy leader is like eating it up. He thinks it's hilarious. He's like, "You can have anything you can carry." And she walks right over to Henry, throws him over her shoulder, which like she is struggling with.
Yeah. Oh,
And-
she's buckling under his weight and like staggers away with him over her shoulders. And the gypsies are so entertained by it that they just like are laughing and let them
Yes,
go.
they're like, no, have a drink with us.
Yeah.
It is so funny. But this is also where the romance really takes over. Henry and Danielle have another conversation, and Danielle really helps Henry see that as a king, he can make like real change. Like she says, she's like, "You have the power to do anything that you can do to help this country." and all you do is complain.
Exactly. And like there are people suffering out there who like if you paid even a little attention, you could help them.
And it's so great because I love how she just throws his words right back at him. He's like, oh, but to be defined by my position. And she's like, everyone is defined by their position.
Yeah.
You look at servants as what they are, servants. You look at these gypsies as gypsies only and not as men. Like, look at us. We're sitting around with gypsies. Like, you would have never done this if you had just looked at them as what you've decided they are.
Exactly.
And it's so great. And then they end this very sweet conversation with a kiss,
Yes.
to which the entire party starts cheering for.
It's so cute. Yeah, back at the house, the Baroness and Marguerite are trying to figure out what she's going to wear to the mask.
Yes.
Yeah, trying to figure out what she's going to wear to the masked ball. And they plan on stealing Danielle's mother's beautiful wedding gown and glass slippers.
They have now figured out that Danielle is posing as the Countess de Lancret.
Yes, that she's been dressing up and hanging
Yes,
out
basically
with,
the Baroness and Marguerite have kind of been like scheming around the royal palace. They've kind of gotten buddy-buddy with the queen, and the queen, hearing from her son how great Nicole de Lancret is, she's like, maybe you know her. And of course the Baroness knows what's up. She knows that's Danielle's dead mother. So the jig is up for Danielle. Marguerite takes her dress and her mother's shoes, and Danielle kind of has a freak out and is like, I would rather die than have Marguerite wear my mother's dress.
Yeah, understandably, honestly. Like, it's her last keepsake from her mother.
And of course, Marguerite just has to have such a nasty comment where she goes, that's my mother's dress. And Margaret goes, yes. And she's dead. And Danielle socks her right in the face.
Punches her in the face.
It is so
Thank
satisfying.
God, it really is. I wish she did worse.
Oh, same.
I was like, when she like fell, I'm like, kick her. Like,
yes.
Kick her now.
And she does. Like, I mean, Margaret is running and Danielle is like, I am going to kill you.
Yeah.
Like, it is so great. But of course,
to retaliate, Marguerite destroys the book Utopia, which is the last thing that her father gave her before he died.
and when I tell you, your heart
Yeah.
breaks when she is screaming at the fireplace. Like, even Jacqueline starts crying.
Yeah.
That is how heartbreaking this scene is. And it's, again, Angelica Houston, just such a great performance where you can see the tiny little twitch of remorse she has.
Yeah, like you can see her go like, ooh.
Like, that was a little far.
Yeah.
And then she just puts that mask right back on and just walks away.
Yeah.
Danielle knows that now that the jig is up, she has to go and tell Henry. She meets him the next day at this like little secret ruins that he liked to play in as a boy. Henry is head over heels. He has fully decided that Danielle is the woman that he is going to propose to.
Yes.
The mask is tomorrow night. Danielle, this scene hurts to watch too because Danielle looks visibly sick trying to tell Henry the truth. I mean, she is like grabbing her chest, like consistently crying, and Henry, being a dumbass, kind of thinks she's like crying because she's so in love with him, which she is, to be
He's
fair.
such a guy. Like, he's
like,
literally such a guy.
In his defense, that is kind of why she is, but it's also because she is so upset that she has lied to him, and
Yeah.
also she knows that once that she tells
Once
the
that
truth,
comes out, they probably won't be able to get married.
yes, but Henry kind of doesn't really let her get her word in, or I would like to think she kind of just wants to hold on to these last few moments with
what
him.
I took it as like she could have been more forceful about telling him.
Totally.
He doesn't like completely ignore her. But I think she wants to have that last moment with him.
Yes,
That's
I mean,
how I took it.
he basically like proposes his love and is like, we are like going to get married.
Yeah.
Like, you're the one I want to be with. And he also is like, I want to build a school and you've really helped me change. And her hearing that, I think she's like, well, now what am I supposed to do? It's the night of the mask. And of course, Danielle, in typical Cinderella fashion, is locked away in the cellar by the Baroness. And while her, Marguerite, and Jacqueline leave, it's also like an animal themed.
Yes, it's an animal themed ball.
And it's also important to note that Danielle's mother's dress has disappeared. So Marguerite is unable to wear it. And when the Baroness asks her, she goes, where is the dress? Danielle fires right back and goes, where are the candlesticks or the tapestries? Maybe the dress is with them, because we know that the Baroness has been basically selling everything she can
Yeah.
in this house to pay for her and her daughter's lavish lifestyle. Leonardo da Vinci comes to Danielle's rescue.
He is the fairy godmother.
So Da Vinci saves Danielle. She runs off to the ball, and this reveal
Is so good.
is so good. First of all, the way they tease her in this dress, they only show her shoes. You see her from far away in the carriage. The buildup is everything, and it pays off so well. It is my favorite look in a movie of all time.
Really?
It will be my Halloween costume if I could ever get a dress that is similar enough to it.
You should.
It
That's
is
too good.
So stunning.
Yeah.
And I totally get what you mean, where it's like the makeup.
The like silver eyeshadow.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is a very contemporary look. Don't get me wrong.
And she's wearing these like little fairy wings.
She has this like gorgeous updo. She has like rhinestones on her face and like glitter, and the dress. I mean, like,
no, but it truly is like she looks magical.
yes, the moment where everyone stops when she walks in, I'm like, yeah,
No,
well
it's
deserved.
fully justified. Where in some Cinderella movies, I have
It's so underwhelming.
I have thought in quite a few of them, like, okay, everyone's stopping and staring, like, yeah, she looks nice, but like this one, it's like, you look at this girl.
Yes.
It is done so well.
It is gorgeous. Henry goes up to her. He is ecstatic to see her. There's a false rumor going around that Danielle was engaged, that Henry heard, and he was very upset by. He just goes up to her and he's like, so you're not engaged? And she's like, no, I don't even know where you heard that.
No, but it's like, there's like something else though.
Yes, yeah, she's adamant. She's like, I have to talk to you right now. And of course, he is just so happy because he's going to announce that they're going to get engaged. He is like, we can talk about it later, and just drags her down. And it's so painful to watch.
Yeah.
But the Baroness walks right up, tears off one of her wings, and just, reveals the truth in the worst possible way.
Yeah, like as humiliating as she can.
Yes,
do it.
and it's so rough because it's one of those things where it's like, Danielle really does like look so bad in that situation. Yeah. Like if she had just told him in her own way, it would have been so easy to understand. But because it's Angelica Houston's character that is like, she's been deceiving you, and she's lying, and she's a servant,
and basically framing it as like, my servant like put on a pretty dress and like fooled you, when like that's not really the case of what's going on at all.
Not at all. And the worst part is that Henry totally falls for it. I mean, he is like disgusted with Danielle, and he's like, you're just like them. You don't care about me. You just care about my title. And it is so upsetting. So he storms off. She runs out crying, leaving that iconic glass slipper.
Of course.
For, of course, Leonardo da Vinci to find.
Of course. And Leonardo da Vinci to go up to the prince and be like, that was not cool. Like,
he goes, what have you done?
Yeah.
And of course, him being a whiny little bitch is like, she lied to me. And he's like, yeah, she had to. She's a servant.
Yeah.
Like, also that shot of the prince in the rain with the shoe is like, it looks like a music video. I feel like Aerosmith is about to start playing.
Yeah, no, that was a very late 90s shot.
It's a very movie shot.
You know that when the director got that, it's like, oh fuck yeah. Like,
yes.
Yeah, you know, he was like showing people the monitor.
They were high-fiving after, for sure. So now is kind of the moment in the movie where everything is going wrong. The prince is now engaged to the Spanish princess. They're supposed to get married any day now. Danielle is working as a servant once again. Angelica Houston comes up to her and basically just like taunts her in the most cruel way. Yeah. And Danielle like has a great moment where she's like, you've won.
Like, what more do you want from me?
Literally, she's like, I don't know what I ever did to you. And again, such a great line where she goes, is there ever a moment that you ever loved me? And and Angelica Houston just goes, how can anyone love a pebble in their shoe? Oh, I mean, like, is that not the meanest thing you could say to someone? That hurts so bad.
It hurt to hear.
And then if things couldn't get any worse for poor Danielle, it's then revealed that Mr. LePew, the town creep, has basically bought her.
Yeah.
In exchange for all the items that mysteriously went missing. So it's revealed that the Baroness has been selling them to Mr. LePew for money, and instead now she basically exchanges them for Danielle. So Danielle's basically kidnapped.
Yeah.
sold against her will to this creep.
And while this is happening, the prince is marrying the Spanish princess. And they kind of discover during the ceremony that like they both love other people and like neither of them are really super happy about this arrangement.
This scene is hilarious.
Yeah.
That actress had one job and she delivered. Basically, the Spanish princess comes in and from start to finish, she is wailing. I mean, the ugliest cry sounds you could ever imagine. It is so funny. And it's like, that's the joke. And everyone is just awkwardly like staring like around.
It is truly horrible. Like the worst case scenario of an arranged marriage.
Yes, and that is when Henry decides that he is going to go after Danielle. He tells the Spanish princess, who I don't even really think understands what he's saying. Like he's like, go be with the one you love. She like runs into the arms of this like random man in court, and he sets off after Danielle, who is now at the creep's manor. He clearly is like just creeping her up. He's like sniffing her hair, all this stuff. He tries to kiss her and she immediately draws his own knife at him. And she basically, and this is why I think Drew Barrymore is so great in this role. She sells Danielle's toughness so well.
She really does.
Like she pulls out that knife and she's like, yeah, I will kill you if you come any closer to me.
Yeah.
And of
but
course,
it's also like, I guess if you're in that situation, like what other option do you have?
Yeah, I
like,
guess.
What you can't like this guy's such a creep. You can't like talk your way out of like him wanting to hook up with you. Like you have to really lay your life on the line. Like we are both going to die before this happens.
Yeah. And of course, Mr. LePew is like, yep, here's the key and door's right over there. He is not fucking around with her. And also I love, so at this exact moment, Prince Henry rolls up all a formal princely with his sword, ready to save his maiden. And she just walks out the front door.
Yeah.
It's so great.
His little like, okay.
Yeah, he literally gets off his horse and he's like, oh, and she kind of looks at him too. She's like, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
Like, it's so great.
It's a good moment.
And then, of course, I love this scene. I, first of all, love his ownership of his fuck up.
Yes.
He originally says, I came here to rescue you. And she's kind of like, okay, well, I guess you can leave now. And then he goes, actually, I came to beg for your forgiveness. And he's like, I asked for your trust. And at the first test of like our companionship, I betrayed your trust. And like, that was fucked up of me.
Yeah.
It's so great.
No, it is really nice. And just that kind of thing of like, actually, that doesn't matter because we're in love. Like, actually, wait, that was so like.
And of course, in typical like Danielle being such a kind person, he's like, I'm so sorry, Danielle. I'm so sorry. And she goes, say it again. And he goes, and he thinks she wants him to say, I'm sorry. And she goes, no, I love when you said my name. And you're like, oh, like,
that one did like make me like kick my little feet.
Yes,
like I thought it was so cute.
Again, as a true romantic, you're just like, oh, like it's so sweet. The scene ends with a very sweet proposal with the slipper. And then the best scene of the movie comes up. So the Baroness and Marguerite are summoned to the castle by the prince, and they are under the assumption that now that the wedding has broken off between him and the Spanish princess, that Marguerite is now
like in the running again.
Yes. Yeah. And so they show up and they're told to arrive in style too.
Yes.
Which is so great. So they show up in their best outfits and the prince is there and the king is there and they're like the whole court is there. And I love Angelica Houston coming in. She's got that like such a fake, like holy, very graceful, innocent look.
When she's like interacting with men, she does this really great thing of like she turns incredibly dainty and like weak and with like fluttering little hands and eyelashes.
Yes, she is a maiden. Like,
yes, she does that really, really well.
It's great. And of course they are so expecting to hear that wedding proposal and then they get hit with, did you lie to the queen? Which they did. They lied about many things with the queen. And it is so great to watch her face fall. She's like, what?
Like realizing that, oh no. Like this is all gonna go to shit.
It blows right up in her face. And of course, Marguerite immediately just spins on her. I mean, she's like, how dare you? I knew nothing about this.
I mean, listen, if I'm in that situation, I'm like, okay, you created this mess. I'm not going down in this boat.
That is so funny.
I am like, this is a you problem now.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, the punishment is probably death.
Yeah.
So I would be like, yeah, I didn't know.
Yeah, no, I had no idea.
So of course the queen and king are like, we will ship you off to the Americas unless anyone here can speak for you. And of course, everyone is silent. I had to note there is one particular extra who Angelica Houston looks at who is like death glaring her. And I was like, what is their beef? I need to know. I mean, this woman is literally like gives her a nasty look. And I was like, they have a history.
Oh, yeah.
But of course, it's
Didn't
Danielle.
even notice. Flew right over my head.
Danielle comes out now in her proper attire because she is
looking
now
beautiful. Because she's now the princess, going to be queen.
Yes, she has married Henry. I guess what you can only say is in secret.
Yeah.
And of course, she is like, I'll speak for them. And I love the speech that she gives to her at the end. She basically says to her, she goes, after this moment, I will never think about you ever again. But I know that you will think about me for a very long time. And it's so satisfying because it's like,
it's also like, that is the dream.
Yes.
Like, if anyone's like, if you've ever been like picked on, if you've ever had someone that's talked down to you, like, that is the wish fulfillment fantasy.
Totally.
Like, it really is so deeply satisfying.
It's just so great because it's like, it's your own fault.
Yeah.
And like, you have to now live with the consequences of your actions. And
like,
I will never think about you again, but I know that if you had just changed how you treated me, you would not have ended up in this situation. Like, this is your own fault. And it's so great. So Danielle asked that the royal family shows the same kindness to her stepmother and stepsister that they once showed to her. So it cuts to them in a fabric dyeing factory, something like that.
They're essentially like doing laundry in the basement of the palace, and like, that is their punishment, that they are now servants, which is, I mean, incredibly ironic.
Yes, I mean, talk about like getting your comeuppance.
Exactly. Like, it is the perfect punishment.
Yes. And so it's a classic fairy tale ending.
Yes. Topped right off with Leonardo da Vinci.
Yep.
Gifting Danielle and Henry a beautiful portrait of Danielle that back in the present now hangs in Henry's university that he did open.
Yes, and it is the same painting that we saw in the beginning of the movie that the old woman, who is now revealed to be Danielle's great-great-granddaughter, now owns. And so this is kind of like the final tie-in of the movie, and it leaves with the Brothers Grimm. I do find it kind of funny that the movie ends with the Brothers Grimm kind of leaving with like their tail between their legs, like, yikes, sorry we messed up that story.
Yeah, I did kind of feel like that the Brothers Grimm kind of framing device was not super necessary.
No, this movie could have had the first 15 minutes and the last 30 seconds cut out, and it would have been the exact same movie. It wouldn't have
made a difference. I really like this one. Like, this just definitely wasn't a movie I ever would have watched, and I thought it was a lot of fun.
It's totally a movie. It's a movie that I put on, like, if I just want like a comfort watch. Like,
I could see this being a comfort movie.
So can I ask, I think I know the answer, but what was your favorite out of these three this week?
I think you're gonna guess wrong. It is The Princess Bride.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Like,
I thought you would have said Tale of Tales.
I really like Tale of Tales, and I think it's like such a gem of a movie that like no one has seen. But The Princess, you can't compete with The Princess Bride.
I mean, that, I think I have to agree with you. I love Ever After. It always has a special place in my heart, but I do look at it through rose-colored glasses. The Princess Bride, I think if I watch it for the first time at 98 years old, I would love it just as much as when I watched it when I was 10 years old.
Easily. Like, it's just kind of a perfect movie.
Yeah.
And it is one of the funniest movies I've ever seen.
Yes, so great. Yeah, that was Fairy Tales on Film. Any other thoughts?
Make more fairy tale movies.
Please.
I want to see more of them that aren't animated. Yeah, I want to see more movies with beautiful costumes and fantasy stories and romance and violence and sex and adventure and love and weird things. I want all the fairy tale good shit. Like, I want more of that. And I just think there need to be more live action fairy tales in film.
I totally agree with you. I think fairy tales also are one of those things where it's like it stood the test of time for so long.
They will never go out of fashion.
Yes, like there is a reason why they are still so entertaining to today's audience, and like so use that.
Exactly.
They are right there for you, and I couldn't agree more. Like especially movies today are made with like hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yeah.
And most of the time, I'm like, where the fuck is that money going?
Literally. I do just love fairy tales. I really have a thing for them. I like seeking out fairy tales, like, and folklore in different countries and reading it. Like, I
I
enjoy...
do love, like folklore from different cultures and stuff like that.
And I really do enjoy reading and watching that stuff. So yeah, just more of them. More of them, please.
Well, yeah. So
yeah, I guess that's it for this week.
Yeah.
It was nice to talk to you, Maggie.
Thanks. It's nice to talk to you too. I'm excited for next week.
True. Next week, we will be talking about fashion on film.
I'm so excited for that one.
Yeah, talk about costumes. We have some good ones coming up.
I know. I feel like every episode I've been like, oh, the costumes, but like
we've watched some very well costumed films so far.
Totally.
We really have.
Yeah, and I think next week is going to be like, I think
it's a
every
good
other
one.
sentence I'm going to be like, oh, these costumes. So I apologize in advance.
Well, anyway, looking forward to talking to you then.
All right. Well, I'm Maggie.
I'm Olivia.
And we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye-bye.